in our conference center in Lisbon, and to those of you that are joining us online for the highlights of our anniversary year, our 20th anniversary conference. Today and tomorrow, we will be looking forward to the future and back to an extraordinary journey.
We are all children of the oceans. We have been sailing the seas for thousands of years. Ships have taken us to places we never imagined, and today they bring us things we need, and we use them to make hundreds of millions of journeys each year. We have to make sure ships are safe, to protect the people who sail on them, and to protect our seas, for us today and for the future. This is what they do at Emsa.
For 20 years, we have supported the European Commission and the Member States,
serving EU's interests for a safe, secure, sustainable and competitive maritime transport sector.
Supporting the maritime dimension of the European Green Deal.
Offering a toolbox of services for Member States in the event of pollution incidents.
Supporting the Commission and Member States through visits and inspections.
Building capacity and training inside and outside the EU.
Providing Earth observation services to monitor the sea from above.
And offering APAS services to Member State authorities for a whole range of tasks.
Supporting maritime safety and security in the EU and internationally.
Developing advanced digital services that give the complete maritime picture to our users.
Supporting Member State administrations and all who use our services.
Building a truly sustainable and green organization.
This is Emsa.
Thank you very much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to open our conference, allow me to welcome the EMSA Executive Director, Ms. Maja Markovic-Kostelac, to the podium. Maja.
Thank you, Andrea. Secretary General of the IMO, Mr. Lim, Director General Holloway, distinguished ministers, ambassadors, state secretaries, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and friends, welcome to EMSA. I am greatly honored and privileged to welcome you all here today in this very special event when we are celebrating our 20th anniversary. Anniversaries are usually a time to look back on what we have achieved. It is also a time to look forward, to see what else we can do, what better, different, even in higher quality. So, what was in focus of our maritime world 20 years ago? Under the shadow of three large accidents, Erika, Prestige, and Yolo, the banning of the single-hull tankers was accelerated. ISM code was extended. Compensation regime for victims of accidents was increased. 9/11 tragedy turned our minds to security, so the ISPS code was adopted. But at that time, for example, the container ship, the largest one, had 9,000 TEUs. That's around 1/3 of what we have today. And in the EU, then the family of the 15 member states, and still largely affected with the devastating accidents, The very first extensive maritime safety and anti-pollution package was adopted. And against that backdrop, Emsa was founded. But then and now, there's one constant. Shipping played an indispensable role for the global and European economy. It is vital for developing and developed countries. It is a backbone of our small, largely interdependent and globalized world. This was once again proved during the recent pandemic. This is once again proved now during the war in Ukraine. Throughout the entire pandemic, even in its early days, there was an unbreakable line running through the economies that kept us moving. Ships were sailing all the time. Locked down at home, we stayed warm. We had food on our tables. We had masks, medical equipment to keep us as safe as possible and healthy. The brave men and women on board the ships continued, as they have always done, to serve the world supply chain. So today, we salute all seafarers around the globe, and we thank them for their courage and dedication in our hours of need. But now, unfortunately, different heroes have come forth, and unimaginably tragic circumstances. We are witnessing something that we were hoping and prayed it would never happen again in our lifetimes, a war on our European continent. Blocked ports, mines floating in the sea, many killed in another aggressive and devastating war in Europe. The determination of the Ukraine and Ukrainian people in defending their homeland deserves our full solidarity and support. We all learn these days this powerful sentence, Slava Ukraini. We are privileged to have today with us Mr. Vitaly Kindrativ, the head of the Ukrainian Maritime Administration, who will share with us a direct experience from his country. A united Europe, strengthen Ukraine, strengthen Europe, and strengthen the whole free world. I recall the words of the President of the European Commission. The future of European Union is also written in Ukraine. We all need to be the part of this, including us here in Emsa. And we are doing our best to assist member states and the Commission in the implementation of the agreed measures. Sanctions are and will be as effective in their implementation as they are strictly implemented without a compromise. And we all need to be on board, including industry. In this current crisis, the basic principles of the freedom of navigation must be ensured for the sake of the trade, but above all, for the sake of humanity. We should not forget that there are still approximately 80 commercial ships, out of which 11 flying EU member states flag, unable to depart from the affected area, which means that there are hundreds of seafarers who remain strangled. That is unacceptable. Compared to 20 years ago, international sea trade today is even more intensive. Ships are bigger in number, size, carriage capacity, but the number of accidents is stabilizing, and the number of fatalities and people injured is decreasing. Operational pollution has also decreased. Our seas are safer. We have better quality shipping, and we like to believe that there is the Emsa signature in that as well. But there are still safety challenges and risk areas. from passenger ship safety, in particular the evacuation of the large cruise vessels, to lost containers, from fishing vessel safety or aging of passenger fleet here in Europe. Piracy and armed robbery, while decreasing in some parts of the world, are now increasing in the others. And of course, we are facing new threats like cybersecurity. Emsa was established to ensure the high, uniform, and effective level of maritime safety, maritime security, prevention of, and response to the ship's pollution. This is written in our funding regulation. In fulfillment of this mission, we are constantly exploring new opportunities to develop even more services, more tools, and knowledge for the benefit of our stakeholders and the wider maritime community. One good example is the EU Coast Guard cooperation, where we work together with EFCA and Frontex and their respective communities for the safe, more secure maritime domain in Europe and beyond. And we are building partnerships at the global Coast Guard family level. Assisting in developing, monitoring, implementation, facilitation, harmonization, building capacity. In all these tasks, we have sailed alongside of our partners, collaborators, and friends for now 2 decades. Our services and tools are well known. SafeSeaNet, IMS, CleanSeaNet, Thetis Family, Copernicus Earth Observation, Pollution Response Toolbox, ARPA Services, Emsa Academy. The importance and the relevance of what we provide has been proven by the constant growth of our users. This is only natural because we build our services along the requests that we have received from our stakeholders, both here in EU and beyond. And this is how we are going to continue, translating political priorities into the practical operational tools. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know shipping is at the crossroads. I'm willing to bet that at any conference relating to shipping recently, you have heard or even said this sentence yourself. Shipping is braced for change. But we all know that change is the only constant. And those of us who are serving in maritime for long appreciate the evaluation and dynamism of our sector. So why do we keep him facing that transformation nature of this very moment? Because it will really be a fundamental change. The environmental, and particularly the climate agenda, are leading to the decarbonization and the energy transformation of shipping. This, combined with the smart digital solution and automation, will lead to the change at the very roots of shipping and port sector. Europe has the potential to build and lead the alliances for the truly sustainable transformation of maritime sector in the IMO with our partners. We know where we wish to go. We know when. Now we should concentrate on how. And where is Emsa in this epic transformation? In line with our established practice, we are listening to the needs and we steer accordingly. We are embracing new technologies and we are looking ahead. We are studying the potential different alternative fuels, addressing always safety and social aspects. We are developing new tools to facilitate a harmonized implementation of the new Commission legislative initiatives, including the extension of ETS to maritime transport. We are delivering guidances to facilitate onshore power supply and to address safety concerns related to transport of electrical vehicles. We have the capacity not just to receive vast quantities of information, but to use it to develop knowledge, to predict, but also to prevent. Emsa stands at the heart of the European maritime picture. They're bringing together artificial intelligence, big data, advanced algorithms, and cloud computing to provide the best and the most complete maritime picture for our users. This is now the global maritime picture available to our stakeholders 24/7, 365 years a day. I hope that during your stay in our building, you will have the opportunity to visit our MSS. We are facilitating digital reporting solutions and simplification throughout our participation in the development of the European project of the Maritime Single Window. We are facilitating e-certification of ships and seafarers. Put simply, we are helping to build the maritime transport sector of tomorrow. And in that context, it is vital that our mandate is flexible enough so that we can constantly evolve to fully support the EU political priorities in safety, security, and sustainability. Ladies and gentlemen, Emsa began with a few staff members working in a temporary office in Brussels. Today, we are a fully fledged, mature, and forward-looking European agency. We have, I believe, lived up to the visions of our founders. Now it's time for the new wind in our sails. Over the next 2 days, you will have the opportunity to look ahead, to discuss how maritime transport sector will be shaped by the actions we are doing today, and what should be the role for Emsa in that future. The success that we have had to date is our joint success. And I would like to thank you all for being a part in that successful story. In particular, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the European Commission, and in particular DG Move, staff members, their staff members, but also other members of our administrative board, our member states, who stayed behind us in all these 20 years. Finally, and most importantly, I thank all previous and current Emsa staff members and the managers for their dedication and professionalism, expertise, but also for the passion. Your personal contribution is what makes Emsa what it is. Dear colleagues, working together was, is, and will be the credo of Emsa. That is what makes us strong. So I'm looking forward to the continuation of our joint efforts for existing and new partnerships, for safe, sustainable, smart, and inclusive maritime sector. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maya. And now we welcome to the stage the chairman of our administrative board, Mr. Andreas Seth, to say a few words.
Thank you very much. Ministers, Your Excellencies, Secretary General, Director General, distinguished guests, dear colleagues, dear friends, all protocols observed. It is indeed a very great pleasure on behalf of the Administrative Board to give a very warm welcome to you all to this celebration of the 20th anniversary of Emsa. I think that we are all very pleased to finally be able to gather here, a lot of people, all stakeholders from the maritime sector, both in Europe but also from the international side, to be together here, and even in the new normal also have colleagues attached to us, even though online there's a new normal that we're working with the hybrid version. But a very warm welcome to everybody. I think that when we have a 20 years anniversary, it's appropriate to just take stock of history. And looking back a little more than 20 years ago, the executive director mentioned it, that there had been 3 terrible catastrophes polluting European coasts. But I will also say that remembering back a little more than 20 years ago, we were all very concerned of substandard shipping. And we saw that with these 3 terrible disasters. And some very visionary people in Europe came up with the idea that we need to do something, and this something should be a maritime safety agency. And through hard work, and I would say strong political craftsmanship, they managed to come out with the founding regulation of Emsa that was adopted 20 years ago. It wasn't an easy start. I know that Willem de Ruyter is here, the first executive director. It was a tough task to get it moving. But very soon, we all found out that by having this agency facilitating cooperation, focusing on quality shipping, protecting our waters, making shipping better, more efficient, safer, etc., in sort of a collaborative manner, helped us all. And if we take stock now, 20 years later, we have to just realize and recognize that we have never had better overview, we've never had a better common effective approach to enforcement. I would also say that by having this agency where we work together on practical solutions, it forces us also on the regulatory side, when we discuss in Brussels, to always keep in mind that by the end of the day, something practical has to be done. So we have never had a better cooperation between member states, administrations, commissions, and also this agency in finding ways to actually get things done. I will not say that we have never had better safety, because that's very dangerous to say so. One accident is one accident too many, and there are unfortunately still accidents happening. But we have never had better tools, and I think that Europe, with all due respect for all our other regions, I think that we really have become a role model, thanks to Emsa. So Emsa is much more than just all the fantastic practical solutions. It's also a facilitator for cooperation, focus on practical solutions, finding good ways to move forward. Thank you so much, Emsa, for that. Shipping and maritime sector never stand still. There are many, many challenges ahead. Green transition, digitalization, new demands. It never stands still, and we still need to focus very much on development. And now we have Emsa that will help, and if you just look around on the posters here, and you saw the video, this is what Emsa does. They are always on the forefront, helping, assisting, developing solutions, tools, etc., that we can use, everybody. I just want to mention the Thetis database, which is one of the most important tools that we have, because we've never had a tool where we can share knowledge about risks coming into our waters. And even countries outside Europe, they are also using it for the benefit of safety at sea. I hope that the coming 2 days also will shed light on challenges that we have to address. I hope there will be fruitful discussions, because we are still facing many challenges ahead of us. New fuels coming in, new safety issues. Emsa is already addressing it, and there will be many things that Emsa has to address in the future. And we look so much forward to work with Emsa and everybody else on this. Shipping is about the world's biggest man-made constructions that can move around on the planet. But regardless of that, it all boils down to people. And that also goes for Emsa. Emsa would not be what Emsa is if it wasn't for all the people working here. So I would say from the board, thank you to all the staff that are here today, all the staff that has been here during the past 20 years. You have done a fantastic, dedicated effort to make Emsa and Maritime Europe and maritime safety in Europe what it is today. Really something to be proud of. So with these words, thank you. So with these words from the administrative board, from all of us to all of you, happy anniversary, enjoy the celebration, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your nice words, Andreas. I think on behalf of all Emsa staff, thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we move on with our first keynote speech of the day. We are honored by a video message from the European Commissioner for Transport, Madame Adina Vălean.
Your Excellencies, Secretary General of IMO, Ministers, dear Maya, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, shipping is of strategic importance to Europe. 75% of our external trade is seaborne, and more than 400 million passengers embark and disembark in EU ports. For years now, we have been at the forefront of improving maritime safety for the benefit of our passengers, crews, and cargo. We have learned the hard way from the Prestige and Erika accidents that substandard shipping risks seriously hurting people, the marine environment, and ultimately our economy. In the wake of these accidents, the need for an EU body to enforce the highest safety levels in EU waters could not have been more obvious. Emsa was a game changer for safety and quality shipping in the EU and beyond. It has now carried out more than 200 member states visits, 300 inspections of EU-recognized organizations, and more than 70 inspections of maritime administrations, education, and training institutes around the world. The publication of the first European Maritime Safety Report is a very fitting milestone for the anniversary this year. As it makes clear, we've not had a single major oil spill in our waters in 2 decades, while Emsa has provided invaluable support following minor spills. While the need to protect our waters drove the creation of Emsa, we can now add protecting our air from emissions to Emsa's job description. And you are already providing technical assistance, for example, for monitoring, reporting, and verification. With FuelEU Maritime and the extension of ETS to shipping, we will move closer to the EU's climate ambitions, and we will count on Emsa even more, as you have already done by setting the system to monitor emissions from shipping. This is also the case as we tackle security and digitalization challenges. Russia's unprovoked and unjustified invasion of Ukraine has reminded us of the diverse range of risks and threats in the maritime domain. We need more cooperation between different governmental bodies and EU agencies now than ever before. Dear colleagues, if I asked you what has changed the most the last 20 years, I'm sure many of you would cite the role of digital technologies in shipping, and what a revolution they have been. The agency's role in developing and hosting the Union's Maritime Information and Exchange System has allowed us to have 24/7 access to all ships entering and leaving our waters, massively accelerating maritime data exchange between EU authorities. The European Maritime Single Window environment will save thousands of hours in reporting time, making our ports more competitive. Thank you for helping us to make this happen. The future will bring more automation with the gradual introduction of autonomous ships. This will create new opportunities to improve safety and sustainability and challenge today's systems. We will rely on Emsa's technical expertise again as we work with the IMO on this. Much work lies ahead of us. Ladies and gentlemen, I could go on. Your list of achievements is long, but none would have been possible without you, the people of Emsa. Without your dedication and expertise, Emsa would never have become the internationally respected reference it is today regarding safety, sustainability standards, and technological solutions. Thank you for all your work, and happy birthday, Emsa.
Thank you so much to Commissioner Vălean for that message. It now gives us great pleasure to welcome the Secretary General of the International Maritime Organization, Mr. Ki-tak Lim. Sir, if you please.
I start again. Executive Director, Ms. Maya Kostelac, Ministers, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure for me to be here with you today to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the European Maritime Safety Agency, which I believe has been extraordinarily successful to date. In many ways, in all aspects. So I'm very happy to work with the Emsa, particularly in my time from 2016. Today, I see everybody looks happy to see each other after more than 2 years of challenging time. I applaud you on using this high-level conference to not only celebrate your many achievements, but also to look forward into charting Emsa's course for the next 20 years. I'm very delighted to have this opportunity to share my thoughts about some possible changes and challenges for the international shipping for the next 20 years and beyond. Shipping is invaluable to global trade and economic growth, as made abundantly clear during the pandemic. Shipping carries over 80% of the world trade, providing the most cost-effective, efficient, and clean way of carrying cargoes. It must also be the safest. Emsa was born as a result of the 2 significant shipping losses, and many of IMO's safety initiatives have similar origins. Since shipping is a truly international industry, it must operate within the framework of the international standard. As a specialized agency of UN system, IMO is shipping's global standard setting authority addressing safety, security, efficiency, and environmental performance. Its 50 international conventions form a global regulatory framework that is fair and effective and universally implemented. IMO's measures cover all aspects of international shipping, including ship's design, construction, equipment, manning, operation, and disposal, to ensure that this vital sector becomes progressively more efficient, environmentally sound, energy efficient, secure, and safe. Emsa and the IMO are united by those overall objectives. As a regional organization, Emsa makes invaluable contribution to IMO's work. In just to name a few examples, areas such as post-aid control, casualty investigation, safety policy, inspection, and environmental monitoring, etc. These important activities help build IMO's regulatory framework, which is reflected in the national and the regional legislation all over the world. This relationship between IMO's global regulation and regional implementation through bodies such as Emsa can be strong and very effective. Ladies and gentlemen, the whole industry is voyaging through substantial changes. We at IMO work tirelessly to ensure that these changes and challenges are supported by a constantly enhanced and strengthened regulatory framework. Our efforts are currently focused on shipping's contribution to global emission to combat climate change and to move toward a digital future. These are directly relevant to Emsa's priority area, as we discussed this morning, set out in your 5-year plan: sustainability, safety, security, and the simplification and the surveillance. IMO adopted the first mandatory global measure to improve ships' energy efficiency more than a decade ago, which have been strengthened constantly. In 2018, we adopted an initial strategy with a clear vision to phase out GHG emission from international shipping as soon as possible in this century, and by at least 50% by 2050. Despite the challenging during the pandemic, IMO member states have worked intensely to move forward on GHG matters. In 2021, adopted a comprehensive set of measures to achieve the strategy's ambitious goals. These are real, tangible, mandatory, and global regulations that will take effect on 1st November this year. However, in line with the objectives of the 2015 Paris Agreement and the Glasgow Climate Pact adopted during COP26 and the most recent IPCC climate report, we must act now to accelerate action to set the path for the shipping's decarbonization. IMO is ready to act and move. The upgraded GHG strategy is set to be adopted in the middle of next year, 2023, to deliver a strengthened level of ambition in line with the global agreements to accelerate the reduction of GHG emissions. IMO is already on its way to make this a reality. IMO member states have initiated discussion on a maximum carbon content for marine fuels, alongside market-based measures such as the GHG levy, ETS, feed baits, or an incentive scheme to encourage development of zero-emission vessels. These measures are designed to incentivize technology development, innovation and R&D into low and zero carbon fuels, and to facilitate a smooth transition toward their use. I have every confidence that progress will continue to be made at the global level with the upgraded IMO GHG strategy, setting the path for the way ahead. The importance of a global supply chain became ever more visible during the pandemic, and they will be immensely strengthened by digitalization and automation in the shipping. This technology holds the key to a safer, greener, cleaner, and more efficient and sustainable future for shipping through the opportunities it affords to improve fuel and the energy use, automation, vessel management, materials, and constructions. Innovation in these and many other areas will lead to a new generation of ships, and IMO is facilitating this digital revolution while ensuring safety, boosting environmental protection, and managing cyber security risks. There is no doubt that enhanced digitalization provides new opportunities, but we need to do more to embrace data in all work and decision-making process. For example, we need to analyze statistics and data, in particular related to safety and casualties, so that we can really understand trend and causal factors behind the accident. We look forward to closer cooperation with Emsa on those matters in the future to learn from best practice in data analysis. Both in IMO and here at the Emsa, we are aware that the major changes and the challenges that lie ahead will have considerable repercussions for the maritime workforce, in particular for seafarers. They are indispensable for shipping's continued operation, and IMO is working continuously to address these challenges so that green and digital ships of the future can be safe, secure, and the social places for them to work. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a time of a fundamental shift in social and the geopolitical order, while the global supply chain and the global trade face growing challenges. But the shipping remains unchallenged as the main carrier of our food, raw material, and the finished product, so it needs to be supported by a regulatory framework that embraces the highest possible standards. And these must be recognized and applied universally wherever in the world a ship may call. We need to collaborate to constantly upgrade these standards and raise our ambition while pursuing decarbonization, digitalization, and automation to ensure sustainable shipping. I'm very grateful for the strong commitment shown by our European partners to this process and look forward to continuing and strengthening our collaboration. In my time from 2016, it is not mentioned in my address, I have to mention, I am very, very proud the time to work with the European Union Commission and many countries, and also with the Emsa. There has been extraordinary, harmonious, collaborative relation between the European Union Commission and Emsa and the IMO. So with this opportunity, the gentleman, my friend Helix nodding and Magda nodding, but there has been enormous support from European member state and the relevant part, also from Emsa. It's really grateful. So looking forward our continuous cooperation to the common goals, common target in many aspects. With that, I would like to conclude my remarks by expressing my wholehearted congratulations to Emsa for its 20th anniversary and wishing it all the best in the future endeavors. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lin, for your inspiring words. We move on now with the next message, keynote speech from Madame Karima Delli, Chair of the European Parliament Committee for Transport and Tourism.
Hello everyone, I am sorry I cannot be in the beautiful city of Lisbon to celebrate with you Emsa 20th anniversary. Let me tell you that the European Maritime Safety Agency, Emsa, fulfills an absolutely essential function. In its 20 years of existence, this agency has been able to accumulate knowledge and know-how that have become irreplaceable. The maritime sector is currently at the beginning at a profound transformation. Although Emsa mainly deals with security issues, the changes and the decarbonization in the maritime sectors will have a consideration impact on the outlook and activities of the agency. As far as the European Parliament is concerned, we are in the middle of the first reading of the Fit for 55 legislative package, which includes measures to ensure that the EU achieves its objective of reducing greenhouse gas emissions by at least 55% by 2030. One of the most important dossiers for which the TRAN Committee is responsible is a proposal for regulation on the use of renewable and low-carbon fuels in maritime transport. The name of this proposal is Fuel EU Maritime. This is a common framework to increase the share of renewable fuels in the energy mix of international maritime transport by limiting the intensity of green gas emissions from the energy used on board a ship gradually by 2050. For the greening of the sectors, this proposal is essential. We are therefore determined to move this field forward in order to begin negotiation with the Council as soon as possible. The TRAN Committee has also been since of the proposal for the revision of the directive relating to the reinforcement stabilities requirement for more and passenger ships. The directive under review is a direct consequence of one of the worst maritime accidents in Europe water, the sinking of the ship Estonia in 1994. We want to ensure consistencies with the international stability standard recently updated by the International Maritime Organization, IMO, in the SOLAS 2020 Convention, but above all to increase the level of safety to these raw passenger ships and therefore better protect our citizens. We want to vote before the end of this year our mandate in plenary, allowing us to start negotiation with the Council. So, in addition, towards the end of this year and into next year, we are expecting several other legislative proposals which will be relevant for activity of Emsa. And one of these proposals directly concerns the organization of your work, since it concerns the revision of the regulation establishing the agency. So I can assure you that we, like the Parliament in general and our TRAN Committee in particular, will listen very carefully to your concerns and your requests to take them into account in the legislative procedures in order to ensure the effectiveness of Emsa in continuing its work essential for the maritime sectors. I wish you all a nice celebration, a nice conference.
Many, many thanks to Madame Deli for her words. Now, ladies and gentlemen, may we invite you to listen to the recorded message from Madame Justine Benin, State Secretary for the Sea of France.
Madame la directrice exécutive, Mesdames, Messieurs les collaborateurs de la MSA, je suis très heureuse de pouvoir fêter avec vous le 20e anniversaire de la création de l'Agence européenne pour la sécurité maritime. Les contraintes du calendrier ne me permettent pas d'être présente avec vous aujourd'hui, mais je tiens à m'adresser à vous, vous qui œuvrez chaque jour en faveur de la sécurité du transport maritime et de la préservation de nos mers et de nos océans. Il y a 20 ans, après des catastrophes maritimes majeures que nous avons encore tous en tête, l'Union européenne décide de créer le MSA pour que les navires opèrent dans des conditions sécurisées sur des océans propres avec un impact minimal sur l'environnement. Depuis lors, l'agence est restée fidèle à sa vocation tout en adaptant en permanence son champ d'action. Elle est désormais active dans tous les domaines où la sécurité maritime et la prévention des accidents peuvent être renforcées par une action commune. En l'espace de presque 2 décennies, le MSA a su monter en puissance et démontrer sa capacité à s'adapter aux nombreuses mutations du secteur maritime. Elle apporte désormais son expertise technique en matière de sécurité des navires. Elle fournit des informations fiables et détaillées en temps réel sur ce qui se passe en mer et elle forme de nouvelles générations qui participent à la lutte contre les pollutions maritimes. C'est ce dynamisme et cette capacité d'adaptation remarquable qui permettent aussi à l'agence de tenir une place prépondérante dans la fonction de garde-côte européenne aux côtés de Frontex et de l'Agence européenne de contrôle des pêches. C'est le résultat de l'engagement exceptionnel de ses équipes et de sa directrice exécutive que je veux saluer ici et remercier chaleureusement. Grâce à eux, nous pouvons envisager pour l'avenir une mer toujours plus propre et toujours plus sûre. Je suis ravie à ce titre que mon pays, dans le cadre de la présidence française du Conseil de l'Union européenne, ait mené plusieurs actions de sensibilisation et de promotion de bonnes pratiques environnementales. À cet égard, le One Ocean Summit de février dernier a été l'occasion, sous la présidence d'Emmanuel Macron, de faire avancer les sujets liés à l'environnement, à la sécurité maritime, aux nouvelles technologies, y compris avec des engagements forts de grandes compagnies maritimes européennes. Cette dynamique se poursuivra lors du sommet de Lisbonne en fin de mois. Mesdames, Messieurs, ce 20e anniversaire est l'occasion de faire le bilan d'un merveilleux outil au service des usagers de la mer et des écosystèmes marins. Pour les 20 prochaines années, il vous faudra relever de nouveaux défis qui seront la transformation écologique du transport maritime, la sécurité des nouveaux combustibles, la digitalisation et l'automatisation de la navigation. J'ai confiance en vous pour atteindre ces objectifs. En tant que nouvelle secrétaire d'État chargée de la mer, je vous assure que vous pourrez compter sur l'aide de la France dans cette tâche qui vous incombe. Merci à vous tous et à très bientôt.
Our deep appreciation for the words of Madame Benin, of course. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great pleasure to invite on the stage Mr. Vitaly Kindrativ, the head of the State Service of Maritime, Inland Waterway Transport and Shipping of Ukraine.
Thank you. Thank you. Madam Executive Director, honorable representatives of Emsa member states, dear colleagues, it is a great honor to join you in celebration of 20th anniversary of European Maritime Safety Agency. I want to congratulate Emsa team for your dedication and commitment. For already 20 years, Emsa helps different states to hold high, uniform and effective level of maritime safety and prevent pollution by ships. The Emsa team already show us their high-level professionalism in the technical and scientific assistance given not only European states, but also the states intended to join our great European family. It would like to express my country's congratulations and wish you to continue to implement your high standards into the maritime sphere. We regret that the anniversary year of your organization was darkened by the new challenges of the world's maritime security, which Russian Federation has been posing starting from 24th of February, when it began a full-scale invasion in Ukraine, breaking the UN Charter and fundamental norms and principles of the international law. From the very beginning of the war, Russian Navy paralyzed commercial shipping in the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov regions. During the last 4 months, more than 10 commercial ships flying different flags were shot with missiles by the Russian troops. As a result, 2 seafarers were killed, several more were injured, 4 were rescued in the sea after their ships had sunk. Port infrastructure also suffered heavy damages. Missiles attacks made on several ports, railway bridges, which provide the logistics of cargo of the ports. Ukraine had to close 4 ports as Russian troops took military control over them. Uncontrolled mining situation. There are already several cases when Soviet-type mines, which were captured by Russia in Crimea in 2014, were found in the territory of waters of Romania, Ukraine, Turkey. We don't have extra number of those mines and information about their placement. We understand that the mining process will take much time and it will be hard to guarantee maritime security in this region until the end of the war. Now only 3 Ukrainian seaports on the river Duban are currently opened. And this fact poses extremely challenge for ensuring Ukrainian export of grain for the world. Food security problems may cause famine for at least 47 million people in 81 countries and may cause a great wave of political instability and military conflicts across the world. The war has already caused awful ecological damage. Starting from the end of February, the tanker flying the flag of Moldova with 600 tons of fuel on board was shot by Russian missiles. The fire lasted until all the fuel was burned. Leakage of chemical substances in Mariupol can cause death of all flora and fauna in the Sea of Azov. Mines and unexploded ammunition on the sunk warships pose substantial danger for the Black Sea fauna. So, action of Russian Federation pose a direct threat for maritime safety and security not only in the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov, but also in the whole European region. The reason to create the European Maritime Safety Agency was to ensure safety at the sea and protect marine environment. As we see, Russian side makes all to ignore the basic requirements and international conventions, not only to ship and seafarers of Ukraine, but also to the ships under flags of states of different countries and their seafarers. Despite all, I believe that with your support, Ukraine will win the war and stop Russian barbarian action. And after our win, we will have much work to elaborate a new international system which will ensure a security of maritime roads, prevent any possibility to blockade seaports and provide high ecological standards. And I believe that Emsa will make a significant contribution on this. Thank you, and thank you for your support.
Mr. Kondratev, thank you so much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for those watching online, we will now take a short break and we return at 3:45 Lisbon time.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seat. We're about to start the second part of this first day of our anniversary conference. And without further ado, I would like to introduce you the moderator of today's panel, Ms. Magda Koczpiska, Director for Maritime Transport at the European Commission. Magda, I leave in your capable hands.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. The mic works? Yes, the mic works. Thank you so much for coming back for the panel. I can see still there is a fight between the panel and the terrace outside, but I do believe that ultimately the panel will win, because look at the panel composition. You have the names on the screen, but just so that everybody knows who everybody else, I'll start with the lady, Livia Spera, Secretary General of the European Transport Workers Federation. Ioannis Plakiotakis, Minister for Maritime Affairs and Insular Policy of Greece. Eric Banel, Director General of the Directorate General for Maritime Affairs, Fisheries and Aquaculture, Ministry of the Sea of France. It's a title almost as long as the titles we have in the European Commission. Mr. Sotiris Raptis, Secretary General, European Community Ship Owners Association. And last but not least, Mr. Vassilios Demetriades, Shipping Deputy Minister of the Republic of Cyprus. Yes, thank you. So after all the introductions earlier this afternoon, and also after everything that you have been reading before coming here for this event, and after all the work that you all have been doing for Emsa, everybody knows what Emsa has achieved in 20 years. And honestly, if you don't know, then you shouldn't be in this room. Then this is a wrong place for you. But today and tomorrow will not only be about celebrating the past and celebrating 20 years of Emsa work, but will also be about looking into the future. And as we have seen over the last few years, we can plan, we can prepare, we can believe that we know what we are doing and why, and then something happens and we are surprised by the reality. And the reality over the last couple of years turned different, more challenging, more difficult, but also, and that is definitely one thing that we have learned recently and over 20 years of Emsa, it's those challenges that make us work better, differently, more closely, and more effectively. So I am sure that the future will be as full of surprises as the past. And the only thing I think we all share the hope for is that those surprises finally will be better. Because we can manage surprises. Sailors are always prepared for the unexpected. They were prepared 3,000 years ago when boats started to sail. They do it now, and they will do so in future. And the same will happen about us. And this is exactly what the discussion in the panel will be about. Just so that you know, I shared some ideas for some questions with the panel, but I will have some surprises for them, and I hope they will take it as the people of sea do, with gusto and with readiness, and they will answer to the challenge. But before I turn to the panel, I'm turning to you. As you know, the event is broadcast on YouTube. So what I will now ask you to do, you in the room will be able to do. Those who are watching us live will not, for technical reasons. So what I would like now to ask that, voila, what you see on the screen is a Slido. I know that by now everybody knows what Slido is about, but if you don't, please take out your phone. You have the phones in hands anyway. Open slido.com, type in #20th anniversary, and when you do it, you will get a question. We'll keep that screen for a second, and then we should get the screen with the question. Voila. So, you're too fast. The question on the screen is, the panel will look into the future, but we have solid foundations to start with. Please look back into 20 years of Emsa and tell us one word that best summarizes EMSA achievements in keeping European shipping safe and sustainable over those past 20 years. You're doing the slide, though, you're thinking about your answer. I turn to the panel with exactly the same question. And why don't I start with, okay, I'll do the protocol. I'll start with the ministers. Mr. Plakitakis, what do you think is the one thing that EMSA changed and achieved in the past 20 years?
Well, to be honest, I was trying to think what is the best suitable word to describe the achievements of EMSA during the last 20 years. And really, I found it difficult because the agency has delivered major changes, major results in all aspects of its mandate, in security, in safety, environmental protection, progress, digitalization. Actually, EMSA has managed to change the way that the operators, the administrations, the maritime professionals act and react. The agency has managed to safeguard the free mobility of the people, of the goods in a more safe and sustainable way. And actually, it helped them to confront issues like emerging problems, emerging accidents, and issues such as the reduction of the pollution of the maritime transport. There are many areas that we can see the applications actually of EMSA in port state controls, in maritime awareness, in environmental protections, and the most, I would say, the most visible one is the application of EMSA in European Union maritime single environment, so window environment. So these are, of course, example credited to EMSA and preserve the necessary level playing field in the industry.
Well, Minister, I hate being critical of members of the panel that I moderate, but you've just ruined the chances for answers for everybody else because you've covered everything. So with that, I told you there will be challenges. So with that challenge in mind, Minister Demetriades, what is the one thing? Okay, 2, 3.
So, Magda, I will not please you, but I've been traveling all night from the easternmost part of Europe to the western one to be with you today to celebrate not just the 20 years since the establishment of EMSA, but to celebrate EU shipping. I believe that EMSA is the heart of EU shipping because I think the legislative framework from Europe, I mean, we became more concrete, more substantial the early 2000, hand in hand with EMSA. I do believe that with EMSA, and we should all be proud with EMSA, is the heart of EU shipping. We do enjoy safer, more secure, more greener EU shipping. And of course, and this is another dimension, EMSA could be our ambassador to share our higher level of ambition with the rest of the world. So for me, if you want one or two words, is the heart of EU shipping, and of course, is a non-fossil fuel engine for the future of EU shipping.
Non-fossil fuel energy for the future of EU shipping. I think EMSA management should take it as an idea for the future motto for the agency. Maybe we'll need a new motto for the next 20 years. Livia Spera, Secretary General of ETF, what would you make the one thing that EMSA changed in the last 20 years? They will put it on. Yeah.
A lot has been said also in the previous panel. I would, as trade unions, we can never be too positive. So I would say what EMSA has done or has cooperated to that. Mr. Rolay is laughing because we often have discussions about this, but we often refer to a concept of sea blindness. Yeah. So especially for the seafarers, maritime transport in general is out of sight. I think what EMSA has done, and the job is not yet done, and probably it will never be done, has helped taking the sector a little bit out of this blindness and to contribute positively to safety, to environmental protection, to security, and so on. So this is, and I guess we'll speak later during the panel on how we can all cooperate together to make it better. And I would say Emsa has done an extraordinary job because in some cases has worked notwithstanding member states. I would say the agency has been not always supported fully by member states, so it is an excellent job that was done. A lot more is to be done, and we as ETF, we will always be very cooperative for the development of future activities.
Thank you so much. And I think reminding all of us that this question of sea blindness is something that we all struggle with when we do anything that relates to maritime. Nobody remembers about shipping. Nobody sees the ships, hardly anybody cares about ships except for the people in this room and those who are watching us on YouTube, of course. So thank you so much. Maybe before I allow another member state to react, especially to what you said about EMSA and member states, I'll go to the other side of social partners, Secretary General of EXA. One thing, two things? Yeah, I'm still hoping.
One thing. Although we've got on our screens a very good summary of what EMSA has done the last 20 years. I would repeat the words of Commissioner Valen, that EMSA has been the game changer. It has delivered on safety, on digitalization, on sustainability, on capacity building. But what EMSA is bringing today, in a period of lack of trust, EMSA is bringing more trust. Mm-hmm. In a period of fragmentation, EMSA is bringing more engagement. Mm-hmm. And if we want to see where EMSA has been so successful, safety has become an ingrained value, both on the policy side and the operational side. This is a huge success. And this is largely due to EXA and, of course, to the people who work in EMSA.
Yes, because every organization is only as good as the people who make her work. I turn to France, not only because of the French presidency, but also, so according to you, what has EMSA done over the last 20 years that's worth being mentioned now?
Thank you. Well, I'm sorry. It would be quite difficult actually to say something new.
You okay?
Yeah, that's okay. Well, everything has been said, but I will just take some words on what is said on the board, because I think it's quite interesting. If we have to summarize this, of course, the first word that appeared was expertise. Of course, EXA is very highly recognized everywhere in Europe and elsewhere for its expertise. And this expertise led to capacity building. And I think this is very important for the member states. And as a member state and as the French presidency, I guess we need this capacity building, the support of the member states, more than ever, in training, in sharing good practices, but in opening also new ways of functioning, of surveying, of acting. And this is something very important for the future also. I will also add something which has not been really emphasized right now. It's the pollution response. Because as France, of course, we were hit, like several other countries, several times by big events of pollution. And so we need this. This is something actually on which EXA was not, EMSA was not acting maybe at the beginning of its story, but this is clearly something on which we made the difference. Because now we saw, especially in the last pollution waves that we had to suffer in most recent years, we saw that we had a very responsive, very efficient and very dynamic tool. But at the end, and it has been said, the last word, very important word, is innovation. because we opened several doors. And Emsa is very famous for that. We worked on drone surveillance. We learned a lot about digitalization, about new information system. It has been said already by the previous speakers. And we opened also a better way to know what happens in our seas, because we had all several data, all several systems, but the interconnection of these systems and the capacity to learn from this data has been really the basis of our maritime policies for now the past 20 years. And if I had to put this in a nutshell, I would say that this created a common European maritime culture, a culture of safety and culture of fight against pollution, and so as it is well summarized, safer and cleaner seas.
Okay, thank you very much. Before we close that point, any comments that anybody would like to make to what anybody in the panel said? You know, like, do you want to respond, like in a political debate? You know, do you want to respond to the other speaker? No. Yes. No. Look at the screen. These are the answers that came from the room. I think not overtly surprising. Almost everything is there. Even the password for Wi-Fi is there, which I think is a very concrete deliverable by Emsa, because now we can use the Wi-Fi in the room because we have the password. Seriously speaking, let's keep that and let's see what answers we'll get in 20 years when we meet here to celebrate 40 years of Emsa. Maybe that will be different. So now, we close looking at the past, we look into the future. And an obvious question to ask, what do you think will be, or what do you think is the biggest challenge ahead of shipping for the next 20 years? And I'll start with the industry. Secretary General.
I would say that we all talk about the climate crisis. The biggest challenge for us, the biggest challenge for our societies is the climate crisis, not only for shipping, and how to organize this energy transition. I would summarize it in 3 pillars: the climate crisis, competitiveness, and innovation. We cannot make it without making sure that the industry has proper access to financing to safeguard its competitiveness. We cannot make it also without innovation. It's clear. And this is what we need to discuss, not only at that level, what should be the role of Emsa. The role of Emsa will be instrumental. We discuss now in Brussels the 55 package. The question is how to make it workable. And to make it workable, to contribute all our fair share in addressing the climate crisis, I will repeat one phrase I heard for the first time in the IMO MEPC plenary by the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Marshall Islands, Tony de Broom. We need all hands on deck. Otherwise, we will not make it. And we need to work all together, especially in a period of fragmentation. We will all need to come closer and to find workable solutions.
Thank you, but do I get it right that you do say that climate crisis is the biggest challenge ahead of shipping?
The climate crisis is probably the biggest challenge for our societies, not only for shipping. And for us, the challenge is to organize the energy transition of our sector. And this is where we need to work with all of you, with other maritime stakeholders, with the EU institutions, and with the member states to put forward workable solutions, how to make it happen.
Thank you. So I will then go to member states. We'll change the order of the ministers. We'll start with Cyprus. The biggest challenge?
It's clear that the landscape is changing, and it's changing fast. And this is a bigger challenge even for shipping because it's a conservative industry. So we need to respond to this change. And if you ask me what is the main change, of course, decarbonization, climate is one, but is transforming and is changing the whole chain of shipping, be it automation, technology, innovation, that will inevitably affect also how we are approaching safety, which is a persisting priority, security, exposure to cyber threats. So there is a whole landscape that is changing. And I do see that EMSA, which is a part of the formulator and also a part of the implementator, there is a great role to play, because in that specific time with these fast changes, we do need the industry and the regulators to work together. It's not like before that we use as regulators to follow the pace of the industry. Now we should work hand in hand to deliver. That's why I do see a role of EMSA with the richness of expertise in order to be able to respond faster to this change, especially in this sector that is quite conservative. That's why in Cyprus we are trying to change this by signaling the word extrovertness.
Thank you. Minister Plakitakis, shipping landscape over the next 20 years, what will it be like? What is the challenge that shipping needs to deal with?
Well, first of all, I would like to state that shipping has committed to contribute to zero carbon neutrality by 2050, that is for sure. But at the moment, actually nobody knows neither the technology nor the non-fossil fuels, the alternative, safe fuels, zero or low carbon emissions, and of course the related infrastructure, because we are still far away. But if we can project what will happen in 20 years from now, I would say that we are going to face, let's say, state-of-the-art ships powered by methanol or ammonia or nuclear power. In ships that will be incorporated special navigations systems that can analyze the meteorological data, the environmental data, the traffic data, so they can find the best, the most efficient fuel route. So again, technology is one of the main challenges. Cybersecurity issue is another challenge. Digitalization, of course, is one of the major challenges. But on my personal view, the most, let's say, challenging aspect is the shortage that global shipping industry is facing through well-educated, well-trained seafarers. Not only officers qualified over, but also lower crew. So we need to invest in our maritime education. I'm going to propose actually a comprehensive plan on the enhancement of our maritime education by the end of this year. But we need to bring new officers in the industry. We need to persuade them that the sea offers an ocean of opportunities for a well-paid and rewarding career. We need to change, I would add also that we need to change the perception, the public perception of shipping. Everybody needs to realize that shipping is absolutely vital for the European economy, for the world economy, and this is the right moment. Everybody in the European Union these days is talking about diversification of energy needs. Does anybody know that the Greek ship owners owns more than 22% of the LNG carriers worldwide? More than 30% of the tankers worldwide. So everybody in the European Union especially must realize that without European shipping, there is no trade. There is no export trade at all. We managed during the pandemic to keep the supply chains flowing. We managed to solve problems of mobility of seafarers, and also we repatriated them. So to finish, I insist that it is the right moment to change, to reshape the image of shipping. And also, of course, in terms of the European Union, we are expecting, of course, the Fit for 55 legislation. I'm sure that the leadership of EMSA and the qualified personnel of MESA is working on this area, and I'm sure due to their expertise and know-how, they will be involved to implement this strategy. But I will insist that we need to change the image of international shipping.
Thank you very much. You obviously forced me to change the order of next speakers, because since you put such strong focus on seafarers, I will turn to ETF. But before that, I just need to allow myself one comment, because it was very interesting what you were saying, and I think everybody agrees that shipping is absolutely crucial. But isn't it sometimes the case that it's convenient? You were talking about sea blindness. Sometimes it's convenient to be invisible, because visibility also means responsibility. And these are discussions that I'm having on many occasions with the representatives of the shipping sector. They say, we want the world to know about us. Well, once the world has found out about you, the world has asked that you decarbonize. And the world is asking that you contribute to all the other elements. I'm not disagreeing with what you said, but I'm just saying that this question of visibility and recognition and responsibility go hand in hand.
We need to inform the society. Because if you ask, for example, a European, if he has any idea of shipping, actually nobody can understand, nobody can realize how vital is, for example, everybody moves, actually shipping moves the world. You stated that, I think it was the general director that stated that 70%, you stated that 75% of the export aid of the European Union is carried by ships. We need to inform the public opinion, because I mean this is absolutely vital to my personal view. It's not only Greece, not only Malta, it's not only Cyprus, because okay, Greece has approximately 59% of the European Union fleet and 21% of the global fleet. Okay, but still the French dependency, the German colleagues, our European colleagues must realize that we need to upgrade, I would say it again, the image of shipping. It's not a matter of only of Greece or Cyprus or Malta. It's a matter of the European Union, especially this particular period, where everybody in the European Union is talking about energy diversification, and that's it.
We will need all those ships to bring that energy from far away places once we change our
So
energy.
I think we need to organize a lecture in Brussels to inform our European member of parliaments about what actually is shipping all about. I made a certain proposal.
Noted, but thank you, because then I turn over to Livia Spera, please.
I think that if seafarers would be EU voters, maybe the situation would be different. But since most of the seafarers are not EU voters, then there is little interest from the European Parliament in tackling the issue. But to answer your question, Magda, yes, sea blindness was totally caused by the industry. The industry has, without wanting to generalize, has benefited generally from being hidden. And I totally agree with the minister. The crucial issue, of course, climate change and digitalization, but these are all issues that have an impact on the human element, and they have to be developed, putting the workers at the center. But the question for the future will be bringing back the industry to Europe. And this includes European employment. And it's not about improving the image of the industry, it's about changing the industry. Now we are seeing all flights are disrupted because there's not enough personnel. We find out that working in aviation is not nice anymore. The same happened in shipping 40, 50 years ago. It's nothing new. So it's not about the shortage of seafarers, it's about the shortage of good jobs. And the role of EMSA in this is crucial as well. Security and safety are hit if there is fatigue on board, if working conditions are deteriorating. It's not just a matter of salary. Of course, salary is a question. It's a matter also of working conditions. There are some reports. The president of the World Maritime University is here with us today. There was a report that they published in 2020 where they highlighted all the problems related to lack of respect of work and rest time. Our international federation, the ITF, published also a report to show what the shortcuts are used on board ships in order to circumvent the legislation, which is also social legislation, which is also affecting safety. Let's not forget, of course, we have kept the word supplied, but let's not forget that at a certain moment there were 400,000 seafarers blocked on our ships, and that this is happening again with the war in Ukraine, and that those who are paying the price are the seafarers. And I have to say, for once, we were on the side of the commissions because we were the member states to be blamed on the question of the repatriation of the seafarers. That was a shame for the whole world. If those ships would have been flagged in the country where the owner is based, probably we would have not had all these problems. So it's not about changing the image, and I agree that the seafarers question is the crucial, but it's about changing the industry deeply. And as long as we don't get it out of this sea blindness, we will not get anywhere, I'm afraid.
But since the original question that I now remembered, Minister, just a second, was about the challenge for the next 20 years. So for you, it's this question of seafarers and that they will be there and that they will work in good working conditions on board of vessels?
Absolutely, and it's about, of course, climate change and digitalization are the challenges of the future, but we will succeed in this if we will do it with the involvement of the workers, with good training programs, by taking into account new safety and security issues as well, by providing training, retraining, by involving the workers at the trade union. So I think it's all very much linked, in fact.
Thank you. Before I give the floor back to Minister Plaketakis, Director General Banel, the challenge for the next 20 years, shipping in 20 years, what will it look like?
Yes, I guess first we have to go back to the subject. So the role of Emsa. The role of Emsa, I guess we all know why we are so keen on the role of Emsa right now, because Emsa is the key for the member states to improve their capacity building, to improve their action in maritime safety, in pollution response, and in training. So we have to put Emsa where we need it. So that's a very important point because we are in subsidiarity. So we don't need, as member states, EMSA where we already do something. We need EMSA where we expect it, and we expect it in innovation. That was clearly said because we will have in the future more automation, more digitalization, and more innovative ships. And so we know that, and we know that as member states individually, we are not in capacity to follow all these evolutions. And so that's the reason why EMSA has this key role. It proved very useful in the past, and it will be even more useful in the future. And I really want to emphasize this. So in transition, of course, it was said by Exa, of course, in transition, we need also this pool of innovation, this capacity building, but also we need to work on training of our teams and training of our of all the partners we have in this transition process, and also in automatization, because where we expect EMSA right now is to be able on our side to negotiate this future. And so when I speak with Maya, for example, on training, I see where my teams, for example, but also the teams of the other member states need EMSA tomorrow. So this really intelligence, this collective intelligence capacity, we have really to emphasize it and to strengthen it in EMSA. Then it's because we will have transition efficient, and that the states will have put this into action, because we will have also more working conditions which are acceptable on on our ships. It's because of all this that the image of the visibility of shipping will change. So it's because of the role of Emsa, because of Emsa will help the states, will help the partners, and will help the shipping to take the lead in these new trends, that the image of shipping will change itself, because we will have more innovative, more efficient, and more workable shipping with seafarers, which will be embarked in this trend, of course.
Mr. Plaketakis, this is, I think, the moment where we sort of wander a bit away from the main theme, but I think it's going in an interesting direction. You wanted to comment?
In order to be, let's say, practical, we need to face the reality. There will be a shortage of qualified seafarers, and particularly officers. This is a survey that has been underway by the International Chapter of Shipping that estimates that there will be a shortage of qualified officers by 2026 of more than 90,000 seafarers. And another thing I would like to mention is that, especially for crews, the conditions are improving day by day, both in terms of safety and in terms of comfort. So the major issue, actually, in terms of the shortage of meeting the shortage of the seafarers, is to persuade them to enhance our maritime education systems. In the future, we will need new capabilities. I mean, we need more, let's say, digital, high-tech people to solve all this issue of cybersecurity. So this, to my point of view, will be the major challenge, the major issue. But on the other hand, I would like to state that the working conditions inside the ships have improved totally. We are talking state-of-the-art these days, state-of-the-art shipping. And of course, the technology is improving day by day. But still, we need to investigate the new safe alternative fuels, another major issue. And also we need to secure worldwide availability. Thank you.
Any comments from other members on the panel?
I would like to make a short comment whether the shipping industry is conservative or not. I would say that we're an industry in transition, and the industry is changing rapidly. And we have seen that at international level, at IMO level, how quickly the organization is moving ahead. And we have also seen it at European level as well. We welcomed the increased climate ambition of the 55 package, and we have been engaging with the policymakers from the very beginning to find workable. So I would probably say that we're a sector in a transition, a sector that is reinventing its image. And of course, I would also like to make a short comment on the critical key role of the seafarers. Shipping is connecting Europe with the rest of the world. It's the basic means for Europe to trade with the rest of the world, but this is happening because of the seafarers, and this is why we work actively with our social partners, with ETF. We run together two projects to make the working environment more sustainable, more attractive, and smarter. So we should address all these challenges. Climate change is on the top of priority, not only our priorities, but our citizens, the European citizens' priorities. But we need to do it in a workable way. And it's key, the seafarers, the future skills, safety as well, Once we're done with a 55 package, we need to spend a lot of energy. We need to sit down and see what will be the impact on safety, what kind of skills we're going to need the next 10 years. It's an exercise we need to do as soon as possible. But on the issue of visibility, we need also to become more visible. We're not afraid of transparency. It's the only way also to push forward for our agenda. If we're invisible, then people don't realize our crucial role in how much shipping is contributing to the competitiveness of the European economy.
Cyprus?
Jan has mentioned something very important. I think I believe that we failed to promote the right image for shipping. I do believe that it is very important to prove and to work together to show that shipping is a strategic asset for Europe. But we have first to ask, what is our target audience? Is it the civil society? Who is the influential? Who is more influential within the, let's say, the decision making within the EU or globally? So we have to change the way we communicate shipping. That's why when I mention extrovertness, is that whenever we do conferences, we should not be just the shipping industry, the shipping community. We should dare to be in front of the NGOs to discuss, to explain the specificities of shipping, the importance of shipping, and be ready also to listen to their concerns. This is how we should communicate shipping and become better listeners. And of course, the fact that if we manage to promote a better image, then we will be able to persuade more young people to the profession and build on their new skills and promote and brand a better picture for the sector. So good listening, become good listeners, more extrovertness, and of course there to have, in this room, to have half NGOs, for instance, so we can dare to talk to them about the shipping, to better understand the specificities, the lack of non-fossil fuel, what the industry is doing to raise the ambition, show the different projects. So we have to invest time on that in order to improve the image, and of course to be more inviting to the different voices and to criticism.
Thank you. Any further comments? Yes, thank you.
I think we all want to have a healthy and wealthy and well-functioning shipping sector. We're all part of the same sector, and we know how much invisible the sector is. But again, it's not a matter of the image. It's not a matter of promoting it with NGOs, which is probably part of the job. It's about changing the way the industry work, and by changing the way that industry work, providing more attractive opportunities for sure for the workers. And indeed, digitalization can be a positive challenge because it can professionalize further the role of the seafarers. But we need to look at the critical points. Our people are on board ship, go on board ship, and what we see is that the manning level are shrinking, that the tasks, that there are more and more administrative tasks, more administrative burdens, and so on. So there is a problem that we can't deny about fatigue and about working conditions. And if we don't tackle it, we will not meet the challenge that we have been already discussing for several years, and notably we're working a lot with Emsa on this, about shortage of European seafarers.
Yes. Well, I guess this question is very interesting because communication is not something you dictate. You don't say, look, at one point, things are changing or not, but it's something you prove. And this is why we all say pretty much the same thing, in fact, because, well, and again, I go back to Emsa. What is interesting with the role of Emsa helps us to change this in the future. Because, of course, we are in a transition process, energetical and ecological transition. The fleet is changing right now. and we help it changing, and it's happening now, and it will happen more and more in the coming years because of IMO, because of European Union regulations. So it's happening now, and this will change also the site, the way we see shipping. And as for the seafarers, they will change also, because I say that of course digitalization, automation, and all this have already changed the skills and the needs for new seafarers which are better skilled, which are better trained. And on this also, the seafarers of tomorrow will not be the same as the seafarers of today. And so the problem we have now is that we have to organize this, to find these new skills, to actually to train them. And on this also, I guess that the Emsa framework, because it helps the states, the member states, to work on this common framework, on this common agenda, on these common practices also. The EMSA can play a very positive role and help us to to forge this better future for shipping. But I'm pretty sure that this image will be changed in the coming years because of what we are doing now.
Yes, it seems the panel is just rolling on. Go on.
It's very tempting to make a comment on the role of the NGOs and how communicate better. I agree that we need to communicate better. I also agree that we need to stick to the facts. It's not only about better communication. It's about really improving the way we work together. But it's also about better communication. Last week, for instance, our industry went public with a leading environmental NGO in Brussels, and we set together the priorities for a major piece of legislation, the FuelEU Maritime. We set together the priorities, and we said what needs to be done. We also said that we were open to discuss increased climate ambition, provided that all hands are on deck, that our maritime colleagues, stakeholders, the fuel suppliers, the ports, they all contribute to achieve the targets. So when we say all hands on deck, we also mean that we need to build broader alliances, broader coalitions, to engage with the NGOs, to engage with the maritime stakeholders, to find common ground and come up with workable solutions.
There's a very frustrating element about being a moderator. You can't actually engage in a discussion, and I know exactly what I would have said if I won the panel, but I'm not, so I won't. On this one, thank you so much. And it's very interesting that the topic of seafarers came so much to the forefront. And since a few of you talk about the role of EMSA, one of the things that Commission already discussed with member states and will continue to discuss is indeed the need to renew the STCW framework at the global level, because we need a new framework for training of seafarers. And the help of EMSA with all the expertise that EMSA has will be crucial to prepare that, to work with the member states, to work with the industry, with social partners, to make sure that that can then happen at the international level. And I think I need to share frustration here when we are talking about the international level. One of the big things that happened during COVID, and when we knew that seafarers were in trouble, they were stuck on board, we didn't have crew changes happening easily, was a lot of discussion about working conditions of seafarers on board of vessels. And one of the things that came to the forefront was the Maritime Labour Convention and the question of leave for seafarers. And maybe not everybody in this room remembers, but a couple of weeks ago in Geneva, a very important amendment to guarantee 11 months stay on board for seafarers didn't go through. And I have to say, after all the discussions around COVID and after all the recognition for the importance of seafarers, that was quite discouraging, and that made us realize that moving from words to actions is not always so easy, and it's also a very good lesson when it comes to future work on international framework. Before I go to the last short question to the panel, I would like also to confirm to you that when we talk about an interactive panel, that also means that that involves you, not through Slido, but you will have the opportunity to ask a question to any of the panelists, to all of them. It's not... Thank you, Clea. Okay. Then why don't I give up my last question and I give the floor to Cleopatra? I don't know whether you still need to introduce yourself when you ask the question. Can we get a mic? That's the unpredictable element of this panel. I told you that not everything is as it was on paper. Cleo, thank you so much.
Yeah, I think the only question I'd like to ask the panel, outside of the representative of the trade union sector. In today, looking at the shipping industry today, you know that the seafarers are coming 90% at least from the developing world. And therefore, it doesn't impact you. It doesn't impact the developed world. And of course, very recently, there's been an increase in seafarer salaries, small increase. My question to you really, when I see this entire panel, my question to you really is, even if there has just been this increase recently, to attract young people to go to sea today, is this today still the right approach? I stop here. Thank you.
I take it that the question is addressed at the four of you, and you have the freedom to decide who wants to answer first, but all of you will be asked to answer. You want me to point finger? Eric Banel.
Yes. Well, on behalf of the states, I will say that for us, of course, it's a very important issue. We organized a symposium in La Rochelle a couple of months ago on behalf of the French presidency, and this issue was the key cornerstone. And actually, I had a long discussion with Magda on this. And for us, of course, if we want to be attractive for the young people tomorrow, we have to change also the model. But I would say, and I told you already, well, we are already changing the model, not as far and not as quickly as we would like to do it, and we try to find in Europe, but also elsewhere, the capacity to attract better skilled, better trained people, and people who want to stay in shipping, people who want to make a career in shipping. And well, in my Directorate General, I have also fisheries. And I have exactly the same problem, actually. People don't want to go to this kind of very hard-working, with hard social conditions, jobs. And so it's very difficult to explain why this kind of activity is still an activity in which you can have a job, you can earn money, and you have a nice career. And so, well, so we can use communication, we did. Well, way to enforce that, we have to prove that the conditions of tomorrow, as I said, will be different. That we will live with different ships, with different types of working conditions, and with different conditions of availability and life on board. And if we succeed to prove that, we will attract young people. And we see that on new ships, better trained and better skilled people are coming. And we see it right now in France and elsewhere in Europe. But this has to be done, and this has to be done at the European level, at the national level, and of course with this share of common practices with Emsa.
Well, I think it's a very valid question. One thing is how we are reshaping the way we are promoting the seafaring profession. And of course, that has to be aligned with the new technologies, new skills, to ensure that the way we are promoting it fits for purpose, is aligned with the new trends. But there is a lot of work to be done, not only by improving, on the other side, the working and living conditions through the global framework within the EU, but also we should do something when it comes to the criminalization of seafarers. to what our seafarers are facing in different countries, and they are victims on things on any, and they are very much exposed on areas that nobody could believe. So we have to do something on that. We in Cyprus now, we are organizing a campaign in the European Parliament in autumn to signal the importance of non-criminalizing seafarers, providing examples. So we should start also working on that side to prove globally, and this goes hand in hand with the improvement of, by improving the image of the sector that we have, to show that we provide the right protection to our seafarers because they are exposed, and we have to signal through possibly a motion by the European Parliament to the external partners that we have to change the perception we are approaching the seafaring profession, and we have to protect our seafarers. This is what we have to do on the side of on the regulatory side, and then of course to be able to promote the sector, because now you see you hear so many incidents globally. Seafarers are suffering, so our job to promote and persuade the new seafarers and young people, it will not work if we don't invest time to improve their working conditions and to do care about the non-criminalization of the sector.
Minister Plakidakis or Secretary General of EXA?
I must admit it is a difficult task to persuade young people to join the shipping industry. On the other hand, we must educate them, let's say from the elementary school. As many ship owners state, you must love shipping. You must be in love with shipping in order to join the industry. So in that respect, we must inform the young people to join the industry, because apart from offering well-paid jobs as a seafarers, also shipping offers a variety of jobs ashore. So this is absolutely crucial. But on the other hand, yes, we need to enhance our maritime education system. We need to be more attractive, but still, I think it's a global, let's say, task or a European task that we need to face. Thank you.
We need a basket of measures. We need more campaigns. We need more bottom-up initiatives. And this is what we're doing with our social partners, with ETF, running these two projects, WES and Skillsy. Let me give you an example of what we have done. We have translated the ICS guidelines on harassment in 15 different languages. Of course, this doesn't change the situation overnight, but it raises awareness and it gives more tools to the seafarers. We need more campaigns, more bottom-up initiatives to make the working environment more attractive and more sustainable. But as Minister Dimitriadis mentioned, we're facing also regulatory initiatives at European level, like the Environmental Crime Directive, that make the profession less attractive. These initiatives create more fragmentation between the international regime and the European regulations. And in our opinion, such a development is also not substantiated by the facts.
Thank you. Yes.
When we were in La Rochelle, we met some young people and we asked them this, why don't you come to shipping? What will you make you come to shipping? And they replied, well, first, we want to be sure that shipping is eco-friendly, that it's in transition, that the ships of tomorrow will be safer, will be cleaner. So we had to explain that. We need good working conditions, of course. Donc, we need time for our family. We need also access to internet, the phone, to working conditions which are acceptable nowadays by young people. And we all know that we have children, and so we all know where their expectations are. But they need also to believe also in the future of shipping. And so that's also very interesting because they wanted to, I will say, they wanted a part of dream. They wanted to see that the future of shipping is something in which they could believe and that could embark them. And so we have a nice story to tell, and I quite agree with the minister. Shipping is a very nice story to tell. But we have to tell the young people about that. But to tell that, we have also to build the foundations, the working conditions, and the transition on energy and ecology.
Just wait. Well, I'll give you, if you agree, I'll give you the floor at the end so that you can really comment on all the comments, Ms. Demetriadis.
Kids, they don't want any more old, white-bearded men in front of them with long speeches to convince them about the importance of shipping. They do need more smart ways. That's why, for example, in Cyprus, we have launched, there is a program, Adopt a Ship, initiated by the Cyprus shipping industry, where a classroom adopts a ship communicates with the master on a weekly basis and finds out at the elementary school how important is shipping. When it comes to the secondary school, we have created a campaign under the name See Your Horizon, where kids, they just visit a landing page on the IT lesson. They play shipping through a multiple choice questionnaire. They Google the answer, they search how important is shipping, and then we provide them the opportunity to spend a week with us, to the shipping administration, to visit a company, to join us on a post-day control. So this is how they learn about shipping, because the most important thing is that we approach the kids with the flagging the word must, what you must study, what you must follow to earn more money. But the kids, they want to love what they are doing. They want to flag their preference. So to prefer shipping, to choose shipping, they have to get to know us. So we have to consider more smart ways of approaching young people, and this is how I think we are exploring this potential the last couple of years in Cyprus.
Thank you so much for mentioning Adopt a Ship, because a couple of years ago, I actually went to visit a class of 20 kids that were part of that program. And I do remember I asked them a question. So how many of you want to go to sea in future? They were, what, like 9, 10 years old, something like that. Out of 19 kids in the class, 5 of them raised their hands, and 2 or 3 of them were women. And I thought that's a promising signal, because I don't know whether that will happen, but at least they do learn about shipping. So can I just promote Adopt the Ship program to everybody, and that you copycat? I'm sure there's no trademark or copyright from the Cyprus side. Your turn.
So I would like to say something. When people look for a job, they look for a job, yeah? So they need to meet needs, they need to bring money home, they need to feed their family. So there's not necessarily something romantic associated to go at sea. It's a wonderful job, and the sector is a wonderful sector, and it has a lot of attachment from us that come from the sector. But at the end of the day, we also have to break a little bit this romantic view that people go at sea because they love it. Of course they love it, otherwise they wouldn't go away. But what people need is to have decent working conditions and decent salaries. And to give you just 2 examples, very recent examples, when we are talking about good working conditions, being respectful to seafarers and so on, the executive director in a speech said, praised the courage of the seafarers during the pandemic. We do not want to have courageous workers. We want to have workers that are treated decently. We do not want to have heroes. We do not need heroes. We need seafarers that are respected. And 2 examples, and I will not comment very much. First example, P&O Ferries in the UK, outside the European Union now, but still very close to us. P&O Ferry dismissed from one day to another on Zoom seafarers that have been working with them for decades, this is a ferry between Britain and the mainland, so it's not being away for 6 months. It's probably 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. They were dismissed from one day to another, replaced with agency workers that didn't know the ships. Some of the ships were detained by the Maritime Administration because of safety failures, because the new crew didn't know how to operate the ships. First thing, this is what the world got to know about a part of the sector at least. But this is part of the deterioration of the conditions in the sector due to the situation of the ferry sector in the area. And now Britain, the UK starts talking to France and to other member states about possible corridors with European working conditions, which is something that you've been asking for many years. Second thing, the attempt to exclude seafarers from the minimum wage directive. You all know, yesterday or the day before, the Council finally endorsed the minimum wage directive. There was an attempt for some member states to exclude seafarers with no reason for it, no reason, and to use the ILO minimum wage as a collective bargaining system that would apply to seafarers. So these are the two examples that the world is looking at when we talk about improving working conditions for seafarers. And I will not comment any further because I think there's no need for additional comment.
Thank you. I propose we round that topic, but I'm quite sure that also later during break and coffee and tomorrow there will be many people that will be willing to discuss exactly that question of seafarers. Turning to the room, I don't know, Cleopatra, whether that really answered your question, but we'll see. Any other volunteers for questions in the? Yeah, but I can't say no to the chair of the administrative board of Emsa, no?
Sorry for taking...
That would put me at grave risk, so...
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. I just, with all due respect, I think I get a bit of a déjà vu because it's like this discussion, which is really, really important, and I think that we can hear that from all the panel members, that the future workforce is really a challenge. There's no doubt also moving into new technology, and I mean, just speaking about the wind power installation we're going to make in the North Sea, we're going to use or need thousands of people recruited. But there are, I think, some elephants in the room, and I think what Cleopatra from World Maritime University is asking is also, I mean, honestly speaking, looking at international shipping, which we are all sort of part of, 80% of the workforce is from outside of Europe. It's from poor countries. And there's no lack of young people who want a career at sea. But there's a lack of training berths. And I think also that we need to address that there's a new business model in game here, that most or many companies are now outsourcing anything that has to do with crew management, technical management. And that means the responsibility for recruiting is no longer within the owner, but with another company that have no economic interest in training people. So I'm just asking...
Where is the question?
Yeah, the question is, what do we do with this? Where do we head on this? Because I think that will be something that we need to address for the next 20 years. And a question again, since we are in a European context, could we have something, European collaboration, something that where we actually ensure that we will provide people for the future and in a global perspective? Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'm a bit challenged because I don't know whether I leave the question with the panel or actually I keep the question with the European Commission and use the opportunity of the next discussion with EU member states to look for that answer, because this is something that indeed has been in the air. But maybe I will use it as a transition to my a bit final question, since there's no hundreds of hands in the room to ask for the floor, because I was just wondering, we have 15 minutes literally to the end of the panel. We talk about the future, we talk about challenges, we now talk a lot about seafarers, but we need to make shipping more attractive, we need to have an image of shipping different, sector in transition. But how can we make it different, better for the next 20 years so that what European shipping is quality shipping in general. I mean, on the global scale, it still has the quality shipping trademark. How can we make sure that it continues to be the case for 20 years? And what can we do to make this European quality of shipping exported better globally? And then to bring us back where we are here today, how can we use Emsa differently to help us with this task?
Well, to answer that, actually, we have to first to define what is quality shipping. Once we define that, okay, we have to brand this, so to valorize it. And actually, it's not only a question of shipping. If you look at transport more globally, we don't know really how to valorize transport. Okay, I'm always struck by the fact that when I go to buy something, well, we know that it's produced, if I buy some coffee, it's produced in Colombia in perfect environmental and working conditions. But the way it's transported from Colombia to Europe, nobody knows about that and nobody cares about that. So at one point, we need also to valorize quality shipping in the way that citizens, consumers, buy products. And so at one point, it's what we try to do also. In France, we have what we call a green shipping label with the shipping companies like CMA CGM, and something that we built with the NGOs and with the support of the state, something we created 8 years ago, actually with the support also of our Canadian experts. And so that's something now that enables the consumers. Of course, we need to change scale, but that's something now we can offer the consumer for each product that he buys to know that this has been transported by socially and environmentally responsible shipping. And that's clearly something we lack, and that's also a reply to my Danish counterpart on this. But this is something that can make the difference at the end.
Okay, so we put a price on quality.
It's not only a question of price. It might be, yes, of course, because quality is also a question of price.
Okay.
But it's first question of visibility. Because if you don't know what you buy, if you don't know what's the cost of transport and what does it mean behind transport, in social conditions, in the state of the ship also. Of course, regulations have improved it, but well, still, I don't want to buy something that was transported by a ship which does not respect international regulations correctly. So, but I want to know about that, and still I don't know about that right now. So that could make also difference.
Mr. Demetriades, I saw you reached for the mic.
Well, there's one thing if we want to promote the EU quality shipping label globally, and also closing the gap between EU and the rest of the world. So since you are looking for single words or short phrases, I do believe that the Emsa is best placed to be the bridge builder, in the sense that with the richness of expertise that it enjoys, we can promote, we can help the rest of the world to raise the bar globally, build alliances, so we will be in a better position to build partnerships and to sell our higher level of ambition, our policies globally. I think we should use Emsa wisely on capacity building, on helping other states, other regions to reach a higher quality, be it safety or greening or digitalization or security. And through that way, having Emsa as our ambassador, we can promote our EU policies for the benefit of global shipping.
Thank you. Noted. Livia Spera.
So regarding the how to make the EU a leader for better shipping, I say we have wonderful instruments that we can use. There are a lot of subsidies and money that is used for the shipping sector, and we are absolutely in favor of keeping this money. It's vital, but we can attach some conditionalities for improvement from the environmental, social point of view, from safety point of view. I think this is something that could be relatively easily done. I think there is also a matter of better dialogue with the rest of the industry, because maritime transport is not just shipping. And there are at the moment a lot of disruptions and a lot of problems that are due probably to a lack of engagement between the different segments. We represent workers on all sides. So we see this very clearly. And the rest for Emsa, I think for us, Emsa is a big shopping list. There was a study that was published just before the pandemic about the social conditions in the sector. There are a series of recommendations, notably regarding the MLC, clarifying the role of the MLC, the training of per state control officers, and so on. This is all something that we believe Emsa should explore further in the future.
Thank you. Yes.
I mean, Europe has a plan when we want to go as Europeans, how we want to transform our economy the next 30 years. We want to become the first carbon neutral continent in the world. What is though important is how we organize this transition. It's not a matter of if, but a matter of how. And this is why it's important to make sure that we safeguard the competitiveness of our industry, the competitiveness of shipping. Otherwise, we will push shipping outside the EU. There will always be somebody to do the job for us, but it won't be European shipping. We need to recognize that shipping, European shipping, is a major pillar of the European competitiveness, of the European economy. We need to be very cautious when we discuss, when we decide the next 6 months or a year, when we take the final decisions, how the climate ambition of Europe will be implemented, that we come up with workable solutions and we don't hurt the competitiveness of the industry.
Thank you. Mr. Plakatakis.
To my point of view, I think we should send the right political message, not only to the shipping industry, but also to the parallel industries. We have to develop our industry, and we have to equip them in order to face the future challenges. So, as any economic activity, we must retain and we must preserve a stable regulatory framework. That means that European Union must play a constructive role in terms of IMO, and also I think it is absolutely essential to have a transparent cooperation between IMO and the European Union. When it comes to transition, it is true that shipping will face its major, let's say, transition over the last 100 years. So then again, we have to bear in mind that this transition costs. So the financial aspect is of major importance. So if we need, for example, to enhance the energy efficiency of ships, if we need, for example, to build new ships, innovative ships, with new technologies, that of course presupposes the existence of financial instruments. So in that respect, I feel that European Union structural budget can be a reinforcement, let's say, stage on this issue. But EMSA can play a very crucial role in order to join all the different partners together. the ship owners, the commercial operators, the engine manufacturers, the refineries, the producers, the shipyards. So it's a matter of joining forces in order to find the best, suitable, sustainable, and most competitive solution. So if we would like to move to the next state, because to be honest, this particular time, there is a lot of uncertainty in the industry. So we need to change this perception to a more, let's say, clear future by retaining the sustainability, the competitiveness of the sector, which is absolutely crucial. We cannot afford, we, the Europeans, we cannot afford to lose our shipping industry.
Thank you, and I think extremely important that indeed we remember that shipping is part of a bigger maritime cluster, and we need to take care of all elements of that cluster, including people in all the elements of the cluster. Last comment goes to Director General Bonnell, and then I'll have the last small question to everybody, and then we close.
I will say two comments. Okay. First, I disagree with Sotiris on the fact that we cannot oppose today competitiveness and transition. In fact, transition is a part of competitiveness of shipping right now. We are building new ships. They are very innovative, especially in LNG, but not only. And we can be proud also of this. And when I see shipping 10 years ago and when I see shipping now, I can see that some actually have taken this transition as a tool of valorization, as I said earlier, and competitiveness. And for the image of shipping, it is really thrilling. And so this is something we have to bear in mind. On the second point, I would say that, of course, Europe has a leading role, and Emsa, behind the Commission, has a leading role in this. The fact is, shipping is also to be dealt with at the global level. So sometimes we are seen as Europeans as some kind of lesson givers. And so we have to be very careful on this. And I saw it in IMO just a couple of weeks ago when we were fighting for the SECA sulfur emission zone in the Mediterranean Sea. That was a big target for the French presidency. And actually, we reached it. So a couple of years ago, some people said, well, we will never reach it because there are so much position wrong. But we were in a position where we could make the difference because people understood that at the end, it was in the interest of everybody. And so, yes, we have to be careful in the way we do it. But I'm sure that we have a role to play. And I don't know what's the correct word in English, but I guess that we have to take the lead on this safety, security, environmental transition creations if we want to be supportive for shipping tomorrow. And it's because we will have done that shipping will have better image and will be also better accepted.
Thank you very much. I think it's a good summary because I like to think that we have the lead, but maybe we need to look back and think again. We've covered quite a lot of quite heavyweight ground in that panel, which I have to say I didn't necessarily expect, but I think everybody appreciated it a lot. But let's not forget, it is a birthday celebration. So now, every one of you will have 30 seconds to say whatever you want to say to Emsa family, Emsa staff, Emsa management, executive director, current and former, because we have both in the room, Marco Milli and Willem de Ruyter, and I'm so happy that you have joined us for that. Administrative board and everybody who for the past 20 years has made Emsa what Emsa is today. So here you go. We'll start with the lady this time. And it's going to be recorded, you know.
So I think
No,
it
it's
has been a collective effort. There have been a lot of collective challenges and also successes, and I think I may only wish more collective work. And as I said in the beginning, we are really looking forward to a closer cooperation.
Thank you. Mr. Plaketakis, you're next. You need a mic. Everybody needs to hear that.
I think over the past 20 years, the EMSA staff has accumulated great expertise and great knowledge, and I think over the coming years it will assist the transition of shipping. They will assist the administrations, the operators, the industry, the seafarers, in order to face and overcome the challenges that the shipping industry will face in the future.
Thank you. Director General Panel.
Yes, I will say, nous avons besoin de l'EMSA. We need EMSA now, and we need it in the past, but we will need even more in the future. And that's the key message. And I guess that we need maybe to see this mandate, the mandate from the member states, differently. We need to draft it differently, and more in a goal-based approach. On these the key issues that we already targeted on the goal-based approach, and not as a general mandate on which the states support EMSA, but to say that on this, on transition, on training, on capacity building, on innovation and digitalization, this is the kind of project that we can support tomorrow with EMSA.
Secretary General.
I would say that the world today is quite different compared to the world 20 years ago, and that EMSA managed to catch up not only with expectations, but it has really delivered, and we expect that the same will happen in the future. We're grateful for your support, for your technical assistance. It's always an eye-opening experience to talk to people who work for EMSA. You are a knowledge hub. We need you there, and we really look forward for our continued cooperation. Happy birthday.
Mr. Demetriades.
Since I like playing with acronyms, I would like to just say that for me, EMSA is to continue to excellently managing the shipping arena. So thank you for your support, facilitation, helping us the way we are effectively implementing the EU legislative framework. We are grateful. So happy birthday.
Thank you. Please join me for thanking the panel.
You don't want us to sing right now?
Sorry?
You don't want us to sing happy birthday right now?
Well, if that is the will of the people in the room, but I think there will be occasions to sing. But thank you so much. We expertly, just in time, delivered that panel at 17:15, which will make Andrea very happy, because this is exactly what he wanted us to do.
It is perfect time. Thanks once again, Magda, and all the panelists for this lively discussion. Thanks once again. With that, we conclude the first day. So we cut now the online connection on YouTube, and we remind all the people that are connected that tomorrow we restart at 9:30 Lisbon time.